783 million people on Earth are at risk of starvation. This is the 2024 hunger map. The Earth and all living things on it belong to God. God promises that He will create the nourishment for every being He creates. There are these verses in the Quran.
No living creature is there moving on the earth, but its provision depends on God. There are many creatures that cannot provide their own food. It is God who feeds them and you. For God is He who gives all sustenance, Lord of power, steadfast forever.
If God is so merciful, why does He allow deaths from starvation? Economist and demographer Robert Malthus said the following 200 years ago.
If population is not controlled, it increases exponentially in a geometric way. Livelihood and food, however, only increase linearly in an arithmetic way.
That's what he said. It didn't turn out as he said. The world population has exceeded 8 billion, and enough production is made to feed this population. Then what is the cause of hunger? There is a novel that explains very clearly why there is hunger on Earth. Blindness. The most important novel by Nobel Prize-winning author José Saramago. The novel was made into a film. The story is like this. A man's eyes suddenly stop seeing in traffic. This strange blindness spreads very quickly like an epidemic.
It seems to be the problem.
It's a boy, he's blind.
Hey, sport.
The state places the blind in a quarantine center. Enough food for everyone is brought from outside every day. To prevent the blindness from spreading to those who bring it, the distribution is handled by the blind. But after a while, some of the blind form gangs.
Well, here we have a monarchy system, and I hereby declare myself the king of War 3.
They hoard the incoming food. They distribute it as they wish.
Any objections?
They begin to rule over other wards with violence and humiliation. And so, the food that would have been enough for everyone is no longer sufficient. Threats, blackmail, prostitution. Dirty and immoral exchanges for food begin. All the crimes that exist in the world emerge in miniature form in the quarantine building. The film is a complete prototype of the world. A person who thinks of nothing but their own interest is blind. The quarantine building is actually a scaled-down model of the world. There is another similar film, The Platform. A prison in the shape of a massive tower. Stacked cells for 2 people each. There are 2 prisoners on each floor. Hundreds of floors. There is a gap in the center of the cell for the food platform to descend. The most luxurious meals are meticulously prepared in the kitchen. The food descends floor by floor on a platform, starting from the top floor. It stops for only a short time on each floor. But those on the upper floors attack the food like animals and eat immoderately. As a result, only leftovers remain for those on the lower floors. Normally, the food prepared is enough to suffice for all floors. Garang and his friends struggle to distribute the food equally. But they cannot overcome greed and selfishness. The film depicts a world bloodied by ruthlessness and greed. Indeed, the world is such a place. The film explores this sentence. How long does civilization last when people do not choose to share? When people do not choose to share, civilization completely disappears and the world is stained with blood. God, who created all living beings, also creates their provision, but there is no just distribution on earth. Humans have an obsession with excessive profit and enrichment. There is competition among multinational companies, hoarding and speculation, raising prices by restricting supply, manipulation, and colonialism. For these reasons, although enough food is produced on Earth to feed everyone, there is hunger in the world. The real cause of hunger is not a lack of food, but the problem of access to food. God produces enough food for the creatures He created, but humans steal food from each other. By stealing others' food, they leave them hungry. The report published by the United Nations in 2024 states,
approximately 30% of food produced for human consumption around the world is either lost or wasted each year. This is equivalent.
In 2022, 1.05 billion tons of food were wasted in the world. 60% of this is wasted in households. According to the report, each person wastes an average of 79 kilograms of food per year. In other words, each of us throws 216 grams of food into the trash every day. There is also waste on a terrible scale outside of homes. 50 kilograms per person per year is lost in the food service sector and supply chain. This waste amounts to an average of 1.05 billion tons of food per year. So, what is the population suffering from hunger in the world? 783 million. 783 million people are struggling with hunger. Theoretically, what would happen if 1.05 billion tons of food were not wasted? It would cover the needs of not 783 million, but 1.5 billion hungry people on Earth. 1.05 billion tons of food eliminates hunger twice over. What are we doing by wasting? We are both being disrespectful to God, who offers these foods to us, and we are also oppressing the people who have a right to these foods. There is an organization that researches military spending and the arms trade, SIPRI. According to SIPRI, global military spending reached $2.718 trillion in the year 2024. An unbelievable figure. This is the annual weapons spending of all countries combined. Excluding army personnel and other expenses, it is $2.718 trillion. So, what percentage of this would end world hunger? According to published reports, the money needed to end hunger in the world is about 1, or at most 2% of this. If states allocated 1% or 2% of the money they set aside for weapons, the problem of hunger would disappear from the world. The earth is the exam hall where humans come to earn an eternal life. Hunger is one of the most important questions. There is a hadith.
He is not a believer who spends the night full while knowing that his neighbor beside him is hungry.
The world is now a global village. Everyone is aware of everything.
Wow. Are there really people dying of hunger in the world? I've never heard of that.
No one can say this. Every person who believes in God should contribute to the struggle against hunger and thirst. Let's say I have more money in my pocket or bank account than I need, but at the same time, people in another part of the world are suffering from hunger and thirst. I would be held responsible for that. I would have failed one of the most important questions in the earthly exam. Because man is God's vicegerent on earth, God's representative, humans are responsible for all the issues on earth, for all the problems.